Okay, so now we're back to, we're in section 3. We're looking at our favorite types of questions. Yes, no, not given. Okay, so back to our favorite part. So let's take a look through question 27. Researchers disagree on whether animals have consciousness. Okay, so this is quite, in the very first sentence, there are some fundamental assumptions hiding behind the idea that the burden of proof discussions of animal consciousness, okay, lies with those who would argue for it as opposed to those who would argue against, okay? So we tell us straight up, okay, some people say yes, some people say no. Okay, so do they agree? No, they disagree with each other, okay? This is confusing. Researchers disagree. Do researchers disagree on whether they have consciousness? Yes, yes, researchers disagree. Okay, so that's what you need to put for that question. Next one, 28, the behaviors of animals can be explained by other mental capabilities, not consciousness, okay? So other mental capabilities, we should not claim that consciousness exists in animals if simpler explanations can account for the observed behaviors, okay? So can you explain animal behavior with other things that aren't just consciousness? Okay, simpler explanations can account for the observed behaviors, okay? So therefore your answer here should be yes. Other things could explain it, not just that they have consciousness like humans, but they have other simpler functions that explain their behavior, all right? Next one, we're looking for Gallup. Gallup's hierarchy and Povinelli. Okay, so we find them here in our next sentence. Okay, what does Gallup think? And does he agree with Povinelli? So Gallup says we have consciousness, self-consciousness, and consciousness of other minds stacked at the top. Okay, he says phenomenal consciousness does not constitute a level of its own. Okay, yet for Povinelli, phenomenal consciousness, so talking about the same idea, may have its own level. Okay, so here they very said that they clearly have a disagreement. So no, they don't believe it's the same. Okay, they have this difference about phenomenal consciousness. Gallup says it's not its own level, while he says it may have its own level. Okay, so they've clearly given you the disagreement here. Okay, so let's look at the next set of questions. So question 30, the mechanic view of animal minds is based on the ancient belief that humans are on a higher level than other animals. So we're looking for this ancient belief. It has ancient rules. We've got mechanistic here, so we know this is where we're going to find our answer. It has ancient roots both in Greek philosophy and Christian philosophy. Okay, so the mechanistic view is based on an ancient belief. Yeah, it has ancient roots. Okay, roots like a plant root, so it means based in. You have foundations in Greek and Christian philosophy. All right, next, question 31. Although animals are on a low level in their mental capacity, they have the same abilities to suffer as humans. So we're looking for this discussion of low level of animals, okay? So we see here they talk about lower animals. And so then it says we have two parallel hierarchies, the humans at the top, animals underneath. The psychological hierarchy is consciousness at the top, okay, and then complex cognition and then behavior at the bottom. Now, does it say anything about suffering like humans? No, nothing, okay? It doesn't mention it, okay? Therefore, we can't say yes or no, so we have to give not given, okay? If it's yes or no, it will have this word or a paraphrase of this word, and it will be exactly the same or it will be exactly opposite. That's how you know it's yes, no. They don't talk about suffering at all, therefore, it's not given. Okay, next question. Animals have proprioception, okay? So we can find proprioception, they start talking about it here, but the answer does not actually come in this paragraph, okay? So I read it through and I was like, there's no answer there. Is it not given? Okay, but then we look at the next paragraph. It is arbitrary, she used to call this responsivity. What is this responsivity? Proprioception. When referring to lower animals, okay? So the question is saying, because they have this receptivity like humans, they should be considered beings with high consciousness. So because they have this ability to think, we should say they have high consciousness. However, this person, Maxine Sheet, says, it is arbitrary. What does arbitrary mean? Arbitrary means kind of useless, pointless, not important, okay? It's an arbitrary decision. It was just a decision, you just made it, okay? Should we get pizza or should we get ramen? Let's just get pizza. Why? No reason. I had to pick, so I picked one, okay? There's no meaning to it and it's not important. Therefore, we should say no, okay? She says it's an arbitrary decision. Okay, let's look at the next. Okay, so next set of questions is asking us to look at the statements and then decide which philosopher said them, okay? This should have been quite easy because you're literally skimming through for the names of the person and then looking at the sentences around them to see what they said and if this agrees with them or not, okay? Or if this is which one said what. So you're looking for Gallup, you have to look at the sentence that talks about Gallup. And then what does he say? All right, so this one shouldn't have been too difficult. So 33 should have been D for Descartes. Okay. The human mind is different from bodily nature. So he talks about this idea of duality, mind, body, duality. So he mentions mind and body. Okay, so it should be him. Next one is unconsciousness developed historically. So it should be E. So you should have put Johnstone for that. And this idea that Maxine Sheets Johnstone, okay, questions the correctness of these hierarchical conceptions and of the assumption that unconscious historically preceded consciousness in animals. Okay, so it's not true. She talks about unconsciousness, historically consciousness. Okay, so that's how we know it's her. Next one, phenomenal consciousness is a different state from consciousness in mental capacities. Okay, so if I said this one should have been B, so you should have put Pavini for this one. For Pavini, phenomenal consciousness. Okay, so he literally says that next to his name. Okay, so that should have been quite easy for you to spot. 36 and 37. So 36 should also have been Johnstone. Humans and animals share a form of consciousness, external stimuli. So she literally says that the first human sense to develop is proprioception, and it is through this sense that we initially come to learn to move our bodies and feel ourselves. This is the sense we said. Okay, so move our bodies and feel ourselves is response to external stimuli. Okay, so it should be 36. 37, you should have put C for Gallup and Pavini. Mental capacities are represented by mechanical. So we really talked about the mechanical hierarchy. So we talked about that with the previous question. So that was quite straightforward. Okay, and then we've got our last three questions. Okay, and then our final set of questions is another nice table. I like the table ones. I think they're quite easy to pick up points for. So we're comparing the biological hierarchy and the psychological hierarchy in terms of what is ordered. So we're looking for highest, below that, lower animals, lowest animals. Okay, so for these we want to go back up, and I found the sections, okay, where they're nice. It's quite a short paragraph, quite nice, where they talk about which answer should be which. So then if we go to question 38, so it should have been self-consciousness. The psychological hierarchy has consciousness at the top, maybe self-consciousness above it. Okay, it should be red. Maybe self-consciousness above it. So it should, this one should be here, should be self-consciousness. Okay, and then question 39, we've got the biological hierarchy, what comes below the top. Okay, the biological hierarchy has humans at the top, followed by other primates. Okay, followed by comes after. So question 39 should have been other primates. And then our final answer should have been what comes at the bottom of the psychological hierarchy. The bottom is behavior. Okay, so behavior should have come at the end. So quite a nice, straightforward. This is why you shouldn't let yourself get too stuck on difficult IELTS questions, because you could get a nice, easy 3 points here at the end, and that could boost you up the ranking points. Okay, so that's the 3 sections of the reading. I thought there was 1 or 2 kind of tricky questions, but overall I thought the passages were quite straightforward. It was a lot of scanning, a lot of skimming for keywords and proper nouns and so on. So I would really recommend that you don't skip that part of your practice, and make sure that you're getting into this thing of being able to pick out keywords quickly. And that's a skill you can practice, okay? So that's what I think was the key to doing well on this one. And I hope you guys did all right. Thank you.